It's time to talk about romance books. Yes. She's a pirate. She steals his ship. Do I need to say anything else? But I do want him to die a fiery death or turn evil and then die a fiery death. Oh my goodness, I have never read a romance series quite like this one. That's just the cutest shit I've ever read in a romance book. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Sarah and I go by A Bookish Beginning on every single app you could possibly think of. And today we are talking about romance books, and I thought, why not compile a bunch of recommendations that you can pick up for Valentine's Day or every day thereafter that you need a pick-me-up, because I feel like that's what romance is for. It's to just make you feel better, give you that happily ever after, because no, it's not a romance if there's no happily ever after. Can we stop bringing up this debate? This video has 4 different categories. I tried to make this list books that I haven't really seen in many other lists. I know there's about 1 million lists out there, so they've probably popped up in some people's lists, but I just wanted to shout out some ones that I feel like haven't gotten talked about enough. So first category is young adult. First one that I'm going to talk about is a YA, Rivals to Lovers. Probably my favorite academic Rivals to Lovers that I have read. I talk about this book all the time on Bookstagram. I'm always posting about it. I'm always up in the author's DMs tagging them in posts. She's probably sick of it at this point. And that is Beauty and the Besharam by Lily Vale. This book is so dang cute. I am obsessed with it. I was obsessed with it when I read it like 2 years ago, and I'm still obsessed with it now. So this is about Kavya and Ian. Naturally, they are academic rivals, and she also works as like a princess for hire. So she'll like, dress up as a Disney princess, go to parties, what have you. They're like, yeah, we're casting you as Ariel this season, and who is playing her Prince Eric other than Mr. Ian Jun, her academic rival. It's so good. The banter is on point, and like their friends are like, oh my gosh, we are sick of these two. We are sick of them. We are sick of their constant competitions. We are sick of how much they bicker, how much they're, on each other's nerves. We are sick of it. So we're creating a series of competitions. Once and for all, who is the ultimate, who is the top dog out of 2 of you? Through these, competitions, Kavya's starting to see another side of Ian. He's a little bit flirty, and they're like, there's a bit of romantic tension that's coming up. And obviously that's only amplified as they're playing, iconic Disney couple Ariel and Eric. So it's just such a feel-good little rom-com. There is this scene in this book that is legitimately like one of my Roman empires. I think about it all the time, and that is when they play Scrabble against each other. I cannot recommend it enough. I think it deserves so much more love on Bookstagram, because it should be like at the top of everyone's academic Rivals to Lovers lists. I just love it so much, and honestly, I kind of want to reread it. Next! Okay, I've talked about this book, but I want to talk about it again because I feel like I didn't do it justice, and I want a chance to remedy some errors that I made when filming my last video. The next book on this list is, of course, Dungeons and Drama by Christy Boyce. I just love fake dating, the whole thing of like putting on a show and, the main character having some sort of crisis, being like, wait a second, this feels so real, this feels right, like what is happening? It's just so cute. So this is about a girl, and she gets in trouble one day for stealing her parents' car to drive to see a Broadway show with her best friend. Basically what happens is she gets stuck working at her dad's game shop, where she meets Nathan, and she doesn't really like Nathan very much, and he does not like her. Nathan's friends will come to the store to play Dungeons and Dragons. I did it right. She kind of gets roped into this group a little bit, and she kind of sees how she has misconceptions about this game, misconceptions about the gaming community, because, you know, the game of Dungeons and Dragons is so well suited to a theater kid. They hatch this fake dating scheme. Each has something they're getting out of it, but they're kind of fairly quickly come to realize, oh wait, we got real feelings for each other. And some moments that stood out to me, I think about this particular sequence so often because it was such a simple scene, yet it was so cute. So basically, he's off talking to his crush, and she goes up to him and she tells him, she's like, you can't buy your crush something, you need to buy something for me, because then like she'll get a little jealous. She'll be like, oh, wait a second, no, I want you to buy something for me. You know, mind games. He comes back with these gorgeous, like sparkly, iridescent, color-changing type of dice because he thinks it kind of captures her colorful, vibrant, eclectic personality. It's so touching to her that he chose these particular dice for her. Next week, they're sitting at the register together because they work together, and he sees her nails. She painted her nails the same color as the dice that he got her. That's just the cutest shit I've ever read in a romance book. Like, I love little moments like that. Moments where they show you that's like, oh shoot, like they like each other. Where it's like you don't have to like be told that, you can just see it in their actions. It's just so cute and I just eat it up. And Nathan was absolutely adorable. This is another single POV romance, so it's like, you know, you don't get his perspective, but you can tell that he likes her so much. And it's just absolutely adorable, and I just loved it. And once again, if you liked Better Than the Movies, if you're looking for a book to read to give you some comfort while you stress over what Lynn Painter is going to do with Nothing Like the Movies, read this book. This last one on this list isn't 100% a romance. Like, the romance isn't the main focus. I still want to feature it and I still want to talk about it. Yeah, it's a very entertaining YA book, and that is Throwback by Maureen Gu. This is about Samantha Kang, and she has always, like, butted heads with her mother. Like, they have not gotten along very well. After a huge fight with her mother Priscilla, one thing leads to another, and she somehow finds herself back in the 90s when her mother was in high school. So basically what happens, it's kind of like a Back to the Future type of thing, and she has to figure out how to fix things with her mother, how to fix her relationship with her mother, kind of come to understand her mother a little bit better maybe. At the same time, she kind of has a little romance with a guy that is very adorable and, you know, adds like a fun element to this time travel coming of age rom-com. So I definitely think this is one to check out. Definitely one that I haven't really read anything like it before. I love the idea of like a spin on Back to the Future. Another one I would highly recommend. I don't see enough people talking about it. Next section, we're going to be talking about contemporary adult romance, and there are a few more on this list than on the last list. This one I absolutely adore. It's amazing. It was at the top of all my lists, not last year, but the year before. This one is like a childhood best friends turned high school rivals turned lovers again. And it's just so cute. I am obsessed with the love interest in this one. He is absolutely amazing. So there's like second chance and fake dating. There is fake dating. That is Finding Jane Kelly by Tori Jean. I cannot say enough good things about this book. I was obsessed. I read an advanced copy of this book when it first came out, and I was just obsessed with it. And look at how cute. Is this not the cutest cover that you have ever seen? This is about a woman named Evie, and she's living in Paris when one day she runs into her old high school rival, who is also her childhood best friend. His name is Liam Kelly. From the start, you can just tell this man is down bad for Miss Evie O'Shea. Holy crap. I have never seen a man more down bad in my life than Mr. Liam Kelly. She needs Liam's help to get through her brother's wedding with her sanity intact, and that leads to fake dating. There are many moments in this book that are just, they're embedded in my brain forever. But one of them that I will never not think about is when they are trying to figure out their backstory, how they came to be, how they came to be in a relationship. Liam poses a backstory for Evie, and it is so clear that that backstory is actually how he's felt his entire life, and it's just so cute. Another thing is Evie has endometriosis, and so throughout the book, this is something that affects her. She goes through pain like a lot, almost every day because of it, and that leads to caretaking scenes that are just absolutely adorable. But yeah, I just want everyone to read this book. This next one is another one I don't see a lot of people talking about. And it's another fake dating one. Can you tell what trope I really, really enjoy? That is The Romantic Agenda by Claire Kahn. And this is about a woman named Joy. And so Joy is asexual. She's been in love with Malcolm forever. Malcolm has this girlfriend and he invites Joy along with his girlfriend Summer on this weekend getaway, you know, wants them to all hang out, wants them all to get along because obviously Malcolm is best friends with Joy and he's like, I need the important people in my life to, you know, get to know each other. And Joy's like, this is my last chance to make him see how I feel about him. The person that kind of throws a wrench into this plan is Fox, and he is Summer's ex, and he has also been invited on this vacation because him and Summer are like super tight, even though they're exes. Joy's plan is, you know what, Fox, you and I, what if we kind of just flirt a little bit? What if we kind of show that there's maybe a connection brewing between us, and then Malcolm could be jealous and see what he's missing? Mind games. I read it in practically one sitting and I just loved Joy and Fox together. They were so cute and I liked Joy kind of begrudgingly come to realize that Summer's not that bad. And another one I feel like more people should talk about, more people should give some love to. This next one should not surprise you that this is on this list, but I feel like I need to talk more in depth about this series of standalone romances. It's one of my favorites. It's one I just want to talk about so much. I do feel like this is another one that is relatively underrated as far as romances go, but that is, of course, Well Met by Jen DeLuca. Okay, so this is a series of romances that are all set in some way, shape, or form around a Renaissance fair. First one, Simon and Emily. This is kind of like a hate to love type of love story. She is new in town. She has come to help her sister who's recovering from hurting her knee in a car accident. So she's there to help her sister and her niece. Her niece wants to sign up for the Renaissance Fair, but they're like, you can't do it without an adult. And so Emily's like, fine, I will sign up. She kind of has gone through this period of upheaval in her life. She's getting over a breakup. So she's like, oh wait, I could really fit in here. She ends up working at the local bookstore. And through it all, she falls in love with Mr. Simon Graham, one of my favorite book boyfriends ever. He is the leader of the Renaissance Fair. Immediately, these two clash. These two don't get along. And he's also the local English teacher. So basically, you have the English teacher side. They debate over Shakespeare. They bond over it. They bond over their love of books. And then at the Renaissance Fair, Emily, who is playing a bar wench, she gets this dynamic going with Simon, who plays the pirate. So he puts on this whole new persona that is totally different from like the, you know, controlling, grumpy English teacher. And he's this charming, flirty little pirate. So basically what happens is him and Emily fall into this like flirtation that they kind of work into the story at the Renaissance Fair. And it's just so cute. And there's just so much amazingness in this book. And, you know, you get to meet all the characters like Mitch, who is this big, huge golden retriever type of guy. Stacy is a bar wench alongside her. And there's just so many cute little moments. I just love it. It's like the main book that I've ever read that I'm just like, I wish this is what reality was like. And then so the next book in the series is Well Played. That is Stacy's book. And it's like a Cyrano de Bergerac story, which I feel like is a very niche reference for a lot of people, but I will say my boy Simon gets it. He called it a Cyrano de Bergerac story when he found out what was going on between these two, so you know. She sends an email to this band that plays at their Renaissance Fair each year, and there's this main guy in the band who she kind of has a little occasional hookup with, and one night she drunkenly sends an email to the band addressed to him, kind of pouring out her feelings to him, I think. And he responds, and they kind of go back and forth, back and forth. But if you know what Cyrano de Bergerac is, you know that it's the more mild-mannered one who doesn't get noticed, who is writing emails for you know, the attractive one, the one that everyone wants. And so she ends up falling for the words of a different guy. And that's what you find out. It's the band's manager and this guy's cousin, Daniel, who has been sending her these emails. And it's an underrated one out of the series, I think. I find it very cute. I really like their romance. I just think it's adorable. In my ranking of the series, this is probably very close second favorite to the first book. Well matched. Now this is Mitch's book. His love interest is Emily's sister, April. And if you read the series from the beginning, which I think everyone should, it's so funny to go into it knowing that Mitch and April are going to end up together, because you've got this like boisterous, like, I think he might be almost 30, golden retriever, sunshiny guy who just flirts with everyone, and he's just very charming, very social guy. And if you go into Well Met and then meet April, who is, I think she's more in her 40s, this, you know, very grumpy, very much doesn't buy into the whole Ren Fair thing. If you see these two characters and if you know they're going to end up together, just watching them develop and then finally getting to their own book, it's pure gold. April needs help on a home improvement project because she wants to sell her house. She's like, you know, my daughter is finally graduating. That means like I can get started with my life. So Mitch agrees to help her with her home improvement project if she agrees to pretend to be his girlfriend at a family reunion. It's just so cute. Just talking about it makes me want to reread it again, just because I love the dynamic. I love when a book is like she's grumpy, he's sunshine. I adore Mitch. He is absolutely such a sweetheart. There are not enough words to describe how much I love these two. And then the most recent book in the series at this point is Well Traveled. So this is about the cousin that Stacy thought she was emailing in the second book. His name is Dex, and Lulu, who is Mitch's cousin. She ends up traveling with his band to various little Renaissance fairs. While she's there, her job at the Renaissance fair is like, you know, reading tarot. Basically what develops is they have like a friends with benefits type of relationship. And this one's just really cute, but it's just such a phenomenal series. I love this series to pieces. I cannot wait for there to be another one because I know there's going to be another one and I cannot wait. Next category that we will be talking about is historical romance. So the first, I'm talking about two. The whole work of an author is basically what I'm talking about, but I've only read two so far. But I remember when I was reading one of these books, I was looking at the author's page and I'm like flabbergasted at how relatively few ratings this author has. And I'm like, that is wrong. There's something very wrong about that. Everyone has heard her name, so why aren't there more ratings on Goodreads? That's my problem. Anyway, but that is Anything by Beverly Jenkins. I just think needs to get talked about as much as like Tessa Dare or Lisa Kleypas because they are so good. They are some of the most entertaining historical romances that I have read. Captured is about a privateer named Dominic, and one day he raids this ship with his crew and he meets this woman named Claire, and he is like immediately just like kind of entranced by her, kind of intrigued by her. She is a slave that is on board this ship, and he basically ends up taking her with him, obviously captured. This pair immediately has like chemistry, but she is very hesitant, resistant to claim her freedom to act on any feelings she has for him because she has very strong reasons to want to make it back to America. And I'm not going to tell you more than that because that would be a spoiler. But I love their chemistry. There's an element of suspense in this one. And you know me, I love suspense. I love the action. I love the tension that comes when there's suspense in a romance book. And I like the way that his crew also just adores her immediately, like how quickly she bonds with the people on his crew. It's just such a fun historical romance. And I really like the cover. Listen, not everyone likes the whole like people on a cover, but like this is a painting. This is gorgeous. I love this cover. Destiny's Captive is the third in a series of standalones. I started with this one because she's a pirate. She's a pirate. She steals his ship. Do I need to say anything else? That should make you want to read it. When she's, holds him captive, steals his ship, leaves him adrift, he has the very natural reaction of, I'm obsessed with that woman. I want to keep her, because who wouldn't want to keep a badass pirate woman who, held you captive and stole your ship? Again, element of suspense, action, angst, tension, so much fun. I just loved it. But yeah, this is another one that I just cannot recommend enough. Kind of want to reread it. This is another series that is a lot of fun, that has some action, that's funny, that's entertaining. And I think both of them I read like practically in one sitting. So, first one, The Queer Principles of Kit Webb. So this is about an Aristocat who...
Aristocat.
This is about an aristocrat who hires Kit Webb, and he is a former thief who now just runs a coffee house, and, he's just trying to have a calm life. This aristocrat hires him one day, and he's like, I need you to steal something from my father. What ensues is just little, chaos, hilarity, Kit's trying to train Percy to, help him, do their little thievery. And it's just so entertaining. I remember when I read it, I enjoyed it a lot more than I expected to. But the standout in this series for me is The Perfect Crimes of Marion Hayes. This is the second one. It's kind of a follow-up. I would say you need to read Kit Webb before you read Marion Hayes. This is about Marion Hayes, and she has just killed her husband. And now she must flee, but she needs help to do that. And who else can she ask for help other than the man who's been blackmailing her? Which is a little inconvenient because she may or may not have just left him tied up in a hotel room. Talk about a meet cute! Oh, I just love that premise. That is just pure chaos, pure fun. Throughout the course of this story, she kind of finds out she has a little bit of a taste for crime. She's got a knack for it. So, do with that what you will. Okay, the last group of books on this list, they're all historical, but they have a little bit of something mixed in. There's a little bit of fantasy, a little bit of paranormal, which is a combination that I really love. First one is the first in a series. This is called Bitter Spirits by Jen Bennett. I haven't read the rest of the series yet, which is why I'm only talking about this one. But this is basically set in San Francisco, specifically Chinatown. There's this woman who can see ghosts and this man who is a bootlegger, and he is being haunted. He kind of hires her to just be on call whenever he's getting haunted so she can come and get rid of the ghosts that are haunting him. And throughout this, they're both trying to figure out who cursed him to be haunted like this, and, also falling in love. And this one is just so freaking fun. I loved the paranormal element, and obviously I love the romance, and so I'm very excited to read the rest of the series, but I don't see enough people talking about it. The last books in this category are all in a series that I have been trying desperately to get more people to read. I've been annoying the crap out of my sister for years, probably at this point, to get her to read this series. Everyone needs to read this series. And that is the Dangerous Damsels trilogy by India Holton. Oh my goodness, I have never read a romance series quite like this one. This is historical setting, obviously, but very strong fantasy element. It's an incredibly whimsical series. The first book, The Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels. It's about a pirate, her, Cecilia, and the man who's been hired to kill her. His name is Ned. What a premise. I'm supposed to kill you, but instead I'm falling in love with you. The banter is amazing. It's just the humor. The humor in this book is just, in this whole series really, is on point. There's a bunch of pirates who are old women, and they are chaotic and always trying to kill each other. And most importantly, that I always include in my pitch that I feel like should get everyone to read the series, because it's you've never seen this in a historical romance before. There are flying houses. Instead of pirate ships, it's their freaking house. And they can fly it wherever they want. And there are fights between these houses in the sky, and it's just so chaotic and so fun. Second book, The League of Gentlewomen Witches. This is enemies with benefits. He's a pirate, she's a witch. It's just so fun. Third one, I don't know if it's recency bias, but it might be my favorite. Also because when you just read the books in order, you kind of see the hints of these two characters, and it's really fun to just see them interact together and get more insight into who they actually are. And so that is the Secret Service of Tea and Treason. And so these two are spies. They're also rival spies, and they're always trying to get the better of one another. And now they have to pretend to be married. They're basically going undercover at this pirate's house party or something like that. And there was some sort of moment, I can't remember exactly what the game was. I think it was hot potato, but with like a grenade. So pure chaos. It's just chaos. It's so fun. I utterly adore this series. More people need to read it. Final category. I don't know how long this video is going to be. This category is, you know, the fantasy, paranormal, sci-fi category. The umbrella for anything that is not contemporary. So first is a series that I have not finished yet. And this is also unique in that it's the only series where you can't really read it as standalone. Like, it's the same couple the entire series, so it would behoove you to read it from the beginning. And that is the Night Huntress series by Janine Frost. Oh my goodness, this is so fun. So, book 1, Halfway to the Grave. It's about a half vampire named Kat. So she has some of the abilities of vampires, and her mother has basically trained her to hate vampires, to want to kill vampires, to hunt and kill them. And so one day she is, you know, arrogantly being like, yeah, I'm gonna kill this vampire that she comes across, and he totally gets the drop on her. Totally does a little switcheroo, turns around and like captures her. Because, you know, word's been getting around, there's this person who's been killing vampires. He is a bounty hunter who happens to be a vampire, and his name is Bones. And basically what happens is he strikes a deal with her where he's like, I will train you to be better at hunting supernatural beings. I'm gonna choose who we're going after. You're gonna help me trap them, and you're gonna help kill them, because my bounties know who I am, but they don't know who you are. And naturally, they end up falling in love, and I just love their romance so much. Second book is One Foot in the Grave. This is probably my favorite that I've read so far, just because I love the dynamic between Kat and Bones in this one. And then the most recent one that I've read is At Grave's End. The only reason the second one is my favorite over this one is because there is one character in this book that I utterly despise with my whole being. I'm like, Kat, why are you friends with this guy? I don't care. You should kill him. Kind of drastic maybe, but I do want him to die a fiery death or turn evil and then die a fiery death. This series is a lot of fun. I'm excited to continue it. I'm excited to kind of like explore the other spin-offs in the world too. I love Kat as a main character. She's an absolute badass. This is a series that I highly recommend checking out. Next, we are pivoting to science fiction, because the sci-fi rom-com is a genre that does not get enough love. This is a series of interconnected standalones. It's got an overarching plotline. It probably is more impactful if you read it from the beginning, but you don't have to, because each book follows a different couple, all within, you know, the same spaceship, the same team. So it's just so fun. That is the Starlight Shadow series. I'm pretty sure that's the name of the series, but by Jesse Mihalik. That is Hunt the Stars, Eclipse the Moon, and Capture the Sun. I have an unnatural obsession with this series. I got this advanced copy on a whim. I think it was Read Now on NetGalley. I read it, and my life was forever altered. So this book is about Tavi. She is the captain on a ship of bounty hunters, and they're all human. And then one day she gets hired by a Valoff named Torin to do a job. Humans and Valoffs, sworn enemies. They don't like each other very much. Torin's only caveat in her taking this job is that his team goes with her. This is a very important job for the Valoffs, top secret job, and, you know, he needs to be there to make sure they do it right. So it's enemies to lovers, Tavi and Torin. Absolutely adorable. Oh, and the Valoffs, they all have powers, so he has telekinesis. So I'm gonna let you fill in the blanks on what that means, particularly in the steamy moments. The next book is arguably my favorite in the series, because you know me, I'm a friends to lovers girly. As soon as I finished Hunt the Stars, I was like, oh my gosh, I need these two. I need to see them get together. I need to see them fall in love. I'm so excited. So the second one is Eclipse the Moon, which is probably my favorite. It's friends to lovers, grumpy sunshine, following Key, and she is the hacker extraordinaire character on Tavi's ship. She's this sunshiny woman. Her hair is all rainbow colored. She is just the epitome of cheerfulness. And Varro, who is another Valoff on Torin's team, and he is the grumpy, big, huge dude who has telepathy. So, do with that what you will when it comes to the spicy scenes. I just loved their romance so much. From page 1, she is head over heels for him, but she feels like he doesn't feel the same. So it's like there's so much tension, there's so much mutual pining. It's just adorable. I kind of want to reread it. This one is probably a close second to Eclipse the Moon, just because I saw the vision from the first book and I'm like, I am ready. Give me their book. And so that is Lexi and Nilo. Lexi is a recovery specialist, and she doesn't always work with Tavi's team. She kind of jumps in and out for her own personal reasons. She just doesn't want to commit to, being on this team. And Nilo is another Valoff who works with Torin. He's introduced kind of later on in the first book, and he has teleportation. And I don't think that is used in any spicy scenes. Basically, this one is kind of like a, maybe like hate to love, second chance type of story, because you can tell in Hunt the Stars, you're like, what went on between you two? Something happened there and I want to know. This one is just so high action, so high stakes, because it's like the culmination of what's been building since the first book. It's close to my favorite just because so much happens and there's so much going on and there's so much to unpack. And I just loved it. I loved being able to get Lexi and Nilo's story. This series is truly underrated. I love it so much. It's definitely one that, if you're intimidated by science fiction, to read, because it's not that hard to grasp. It's not that hard to get into. This is a fantasy series, all interconnected standalones, just chaotic and fun in all the best ways. And I think you will realize that when you see the titles. And that is the Mead Mishaps series by Kimberly Lemming. So the first book is That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon. There is a novella called Mistletoe. Yes, I bought this like fucking 40, 50 page novella because I love it. It's so good. This is the one that introduced me to the series. This is the second book. That Time I Got Drunk and Yeeted a Love Potion at a Werewolf. And this one is still on my TBR because I want to reread book 2 before I read this one. And that is That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Human. Basically, the series is just entertaining, relatively high action, spicy goodness filled with badass female characters. So this one is the main character, Cinnamon. She accidentally saves a demon, obviously, and she's been raised to believe that the demons are evil. His name is Fallon, and I'm pretty sure he turns into a dragon. And chemistry is like off the charts. The romance is amazing, and I ate this book up when I read it. It was so much fun. Mistletoe is a novella about, what's her name? I think her name is Ruby, I could be completely wrong, and a fox shifter, and they basically pretend to be in a relationship, and in return, he will lift the curse that he placed on her father. This is super short, super quick, just spicy goodness that I just loved. That Time I Got Drunk and Yeeted Love Potion at a Werewolf, pretty self-explanatory. Bree, accidentally gives this guy what turns out to be a love potion, and that seems to be the reason why he is head over heels in love with her, but it turns out that she is his mate. And again, spicy goodness, action, entertaining, chaotic, so much fun. In this one I haven't read yet, so I can't tell you what it's about. I feel like I hit a point in every video where I start visibly losing energy. But it's a good thing because I'm almost done. Each book is relatively short, so you can read it quickly. It's like cozy fantasy rom-com vibes. Final book on this list is a book I just love to pieces. I reread it last year, and I think I cried more than when I read it the first time. I think I need help. When I read a book the second time, knowing how it ends, knowing what happens, and I cried more than when I read it the first time. That book is The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy by Megan Bannon. This is a romance standalone fantasy setting. It's basically You've Got Mail, but set in a fantasy world. This is about Mercy Birdsall and Hart Ralston, and they don't like each other very much. Mercy works at her father's undertaker business. She basically runs it. And then Hart is a demigod marshal in this world. And, so he will basically be bringing like dead bodies into, Mercy's shop. And they bicker. They don't get along. One thing leads to another. They end up sending letters to each other without knowing that they're sending letters to each other. What happens is they write a letter, addressed to dear friend. They just kind of pour out their hearts in this letter. And for the hell of it, they, put it in the mail. And it, through magical means, gets sent to the other person. And what strikes is a friendship. They're flirting a little bit. They're falling in love a little bit. And, it's literally just like You've Got Mail, but it is so cute. I just love their romance so much. I have such a special place in my heart for this book. I am obsessed with it. See, I obviously have the Fairy Loot edition. There is going to be a second book set in this world coming out this year called The Undermining of Twyla and Frank, which is When Harry Met Sally but with dragons. I would sell this. I am addressing this to Orbit Books, to Megan Bannon herself. I would sell my soul for an advance copy of The Undermining of Twyla and Frank. When Harry Met Sally is my favorite rom-com of all time. So I am begging for an advance copy of The Undermining of Twyla and Frank. I adore this book. I am going to do everything in my power to get the Fairy Loot edition of Twyla and Frank when it goes on sale. And I just would be so happy. I would never shut up. It would become my whole personality if I could get an advance copy of The Undermining of Twyla and Frank. Thank you. Anyway, back to the video. I love this book. It's so cute. It's so romantic. Yes, it did make me cry, but it is a happily ever after because this is a romance. I wouldn't be putting you on something that's actually not going to end in happily ever after. But it did make me cry when I read it the second time. Probably more than it should have. And I just deeply adore this book. So, those were some romance recommendations, many of which I don't see talked about enough across the internet. Have you read any of those? What did you think of them? If you didn't like them, don't tell me. I'm sorry, but I don't want to hear it. If you end up checking them out, please let me know what you think of them, and I will see you in the next video. Now I gotta put all these away.